Welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely place. Welcome to the Hotel California.
Hello, and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Review channel on YouTube. I am Thomas Metal 75, Massachusetts Beer Reviews. Today, we're going to take a look at two we're going to look at two American-style adjunct lagers from Mexico. I have thrown together a little chicken and cheese quesadilla to try it with, a sour cream and some taco sauce, and what was once a nicely chilled Pilsner glass, and it still kind of is. The two beers I have for you today are the canned Modelo Especial and a bottled 12-ounce version, 350 ml, 355 ml for everyone else around the world, of Carta Blanca, which I would be amazed if you can find that in your area. I think I'm going to start with the Carta Blanca and work my way to Modelo. Carta Blanca, I have the information written down here. Carta Blanca is brewed by the Cervecería Cuauhtémoc Montezuma in, I believe that's in, I think it says it here, I think it's in Monterrey, Mexico, yes. And it is actually owned by Heineken International at this point in time. Introduced in 1890, and depending on where you read on the internet, it's either a 4.5% alcohol by volume beer, or it's a 4.6 alcohol by volume beer. And I believe this is not a twist-off. It's not a twist-off. Alright, let's get it into what was a frosted Pilsner glass. And give the Carta Blanca a shot. Now, the Carta Blanca and the Modelo Especial were beers that I picked up for the Wednesday night beer examinations on the Ronald Theriot Louisiana Beer Reviews channel. I will link him below. So I've had these beers before, but taking a closer look at Carta Blanca right now, it is a nice gold color. Not so much yellow, but it's a nice golden color. There's not a real good amount of head retention on that beer, and there's a little bit of carbonation, but not a whole bunch streaming up from the glass. It's pretty clear beer. Let's get a smell of the Carta Blanca. And what you're getting is that stereotypical kind of an American adjunct lager. Those Mexican beers kind of have, that's a little bit different. They seem to have a little bit of like a lime or some kind of a light citrus note to them. This one's definitely along the lime side slightly. It does have a bready malt to it. It is sweet. You can obviously tell it's either they're brewing it with corn or their adjunct is probably corn syrup, I would take a guess. But overall, it's a pretty faintly smelling beer. The scent is not what the beer is all about. So let's give the Carta Blanca a taste test. Cheers, guys. The first thing that I noticed that hits you about the Carta Blanca is how extremely light and watery the mouthfeel really is. When I did this beer with Louisiana Beer Reviews examinations, that was the thing that I noted immediately, and I'm still detecting that as its primary element to the beer. Other than that, it's a pretty stereotypical beer in terms of its flavor. As far as a Mexican beer is concerned, it does have a little bit of that lime flavor, and it does have the slight bready malt. It does dry a little bit towards the end, and it does have a hop bite at the end just to round the sweetness out and all the flavors out in the beer. And I'm detecting that it could be the syrup, maybe it's corn syrup, because ever so slightly a little bit of a slickness in the mouthfeel. But overall, Carta Blanca is a very, 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 I mean, it's a very light oriented beer. It's one of the most watery beers I think I've probably ever had. So what would I give the Carta Blanca overall as a score? Well, I want to see how well this Carta Blanca is going to go with these little mini quesadillas jobbies I made up. Put a little bit of sour cream and some taco sauce. Let's give that a try. Not warm anymore. Crisp, clean, refreshing, nice palate cleanser. Doesn't interfere with the flavor of Mexican food. It pretty much washes it down. If it's had any more heat to it than it doesn't, that would be fantastic for replacing the heat source to something a little bit cooler and more refreshing. So Carta Blanca, I'm going to give that just a straight C in the middle of the road. Maybe C minus actually, just because I think it's a step below most adjunct American style lagers and other Mexican beers, to tell you the truth. It's a little bit too light to be really something that I would, you know, want to pick up. And especially the 6-pack that I bought was $8.29, and that's, to me, it's not a good value. You're not getting a good beer for a good price. If it were closer to that $5.99 or $6.99 that probably Tecate is, we might be talking. So C, you know, 69, 70 out of 100, 2.75 out of 5. Next beer up will be the Modelo Especial. Stay tuned. Hello, we are back for part 2 of the Mexican beer tasting today. As I said before, next beer is going to be Modelo Especial. It is brewed, I don't think I wrote that down, I apologize on that. Cerveza Rita Modelo, Nava, Mexico. Imported by Crown Imports. What I did write down was it is owned by the Grupo Modelo, which is a gigantic brewing owning corporation. Introduced in 1925, at least I found out that it was first bottled in 1925. It is 4.4% alcohol by volume, so just slightly below the Carta Blanca. And the Crown Imports website says that they use filtered water, barley, hops, corn, and yeast. They don't explain if it's corn syrup or the corn itself, but it's corn. And I have it in a can when I did this with the Louisiana beer reviews a couple weeks ago, I thought about getting it in a can just so I can eliminate the off chance that I might get a skunked little 12-ounce bottle, because they come in the bottles, they are they are clear. They're clear in the bottles. So, and they got the gold little foil around it, and I don't want to deal with trying to remove the gold foil so it doesn't go into the beer, da-da-da-da-da. Got the Pilsner glass again. Let's give the Modelo Especial a try. And already to me, I don't know if it was the pouring technique or how it comes out of a can, but already to me it has a greater head to start off. 2 fingers legitimate of head on that. It's pretty much, well, it's a tiny bit darker golden color. It's along the lines of copper, but not quite, obviously, to me. And the head is dying down significantly. I think it's a tiny bit more charged in the carbonation, but that's really a stretch for me to say that. And the head is, again, dying down. Let's give it a smell test. And immediately, you're struck with a little bit more of a malty presence to the beer. There's a good presence of that. What did they write? What did I write down? That they used the malted barley. And there is a nice bready barley malt sweet presence to the beer, which I like that a lot. The corn is definitely present in that, for sure. Again, there's the sweetness. And there's the touch of the lime. I think the lime, for whatever reason, I thought it was a little bit more pronounced in the Carta Blanca. But, yeah, smells pretty inviting with the barley malt breadiness to it. So, cheers, guys. This is Modelo Especial. And immediately, I'm noticing 2 things right off the bat in comparison to the Carta Blanca, which is, this beer is a lot more, it's a lot fuller, I should say, in flavor. It's a little bit richer, and it's got a bigger carbonation. It's got a bigger presence of the carbonation to it than the Carta Blanca did. And it does have a very nice, well, there's the corn, and I get a little bit of that bready barley malt with the yeast kind of a character to it. Yeah, it's really nice. There is a good amount of sweetness, but nothing is cloying about it. It's not off-putting. It has, it could be a little bit of the can. There is a little bit of a metallic taste and an ever so slight souring note to the beer before it finishes much drier than Carta Blanca. But that could just be the can versus the bottle on that. And that's certainly a more pleasurable flavor in the beer than a skunk would be. So I'm glad I bought the 12-pack of the cans. But overall, like with a lot of these Mexican lagers and the American adjunct lager beers, and even some of the Euro pale lagers, you might find differences here and there with those kind of beers, but in general, these kind of pale lagers are really just oriented as a lighter mouth-feeling beer. They don't really sit too heavy in the mouth at all. This beer in particular is a pretty light mouth-feeling beer, but it's, at the same time, if you know what I mean when I say it's a fuller-bodied beer, it feels that way as well. It's light beer, but it's in its mouthfeel, but to me it just has a full-bodied taste. You'd have to try, which you probably have, you have to try some beers in this category, in this style, to know what I mean by that. It's definitely finishing on the dry side with a little bit of that limey touch of sour, which could also be a little bit of a metallic taste that I'm getting from this can. Let's see how it goes with the next half of the mini quesadillas I made up. A+ on all of that. Again, same thing. Oh well. If I give Carta Blanca, I would give Carta Blanca an A+ with the food. I would give Modelo an A-. I think it being a little bit lighter, the Carta Blanca works a little bit better with the Modelo, but no reason you can't be enjoying Mexican food with Modelo Especial. It's Especial good. Let's give the final ratings and thoughts and opinions on the Modelo Especial with some quesadilla. My opinion of the Modelo Especial is that in the style of beer that it is, the American Adjunct Lager, in that style, and in the Mexican beer style overall, for not including the amber lagers, this is a really nice lager beer. I have no problem giving that a B-. I have no problem with that. So, B-, 80, 82, 3.25. I would recommend getting that one. So, there you have it. I think this was 14 and change for the 12-pack. So, I think that was alright. But there you have it. Modelo and Carta Blanca. Till next time, tasting them good beers, or great beers. See you soon. Cheers.